Morning YouTube, and welcome back to Everything RV with Dave. Today I'm getting ready to go on a trip in a few days, and I've got some tips for you on how to set up your RV, things that you need to be looking at to make sure that your trip is successful and you don't have too many problems. So without further ado, let me show you what I'm doing right now. This is my setup for adding air to my tires. I am constantly checking the pressure on these Castle Rock tires. Even though I've never had any problems with them, they still are China bombs, and they're rated for 65 PSI. If you don't know what your PSI is, go to your tire and check. It's listed right on there. And always make sure that you are at the correct PSI. It's very, very important. If you're underinflated, you're going to build up too much heat. Too much heat causes tires to start separating, and you really don't want that. My next tip is on the hitch. To grease or not to grease? Well, I'm a grease guy. Anytime that you have metal against metal, especially with high pressures, I feel you need to have some grease. Imagine what would happen if your bearings didn't have any grease. You wouldn't be going very far. So I'm on the side of greasing. If you see, I have cleaned off my ball, and I'm going to put some grease on there, and before I smear it around, I'll show you what I do. If you see, I put just a little blob of grease right on the top of the ball, and I take a little rag and just smear it around a little bit. Now, before I've done anything to inside the hitch, I've went ahead and cleaned it out. Make sure that it's nice and clean, there is no problem. Okay, this is when I take a nice little rag, put some grease on it, and utilize that for up into the ball area. Just giving a little light coating. And I'll just a little bit there. Now, with that done, you know, I think I'm in pretty decent shape with the ball. Understand this, I clean this every time I get done with my trip. I make sure that the ball is clean, make sure that it's cleaned up underneath there, and then apply some more grease. I know it gets messy, but metal against metal, you need some grease. Another thing that you might want to do, if you've never done it, is to check and see how your equalizing hitch is doing as far as what it's doing in relationship to your vehicle. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I have no weight on the truck, and I'm going to measure from the ground up to the wheel well. And if you can see that, that's just right around 37 and a quarter inches. On the driver's side, about the same, 37 and a quarter inches. Okay. Now I've taken and put all the weight on the vehicle without the bars installed. And you can see we're almost 38 inches. So that has actually caused the vehicle to go up about 3/4 of an inch. Just by dropping the ball down onto the hitch. None of the equalization bars are on yet. So I need to make up that 3/4 of an inch. Okay, while I'm at it, I might as well show you something. This is my Centerline TS equalization hitch. And if you take a look, right now I have all the weight right down on the ball. So if you take a look, you can see how low these bars are to where the pad is, where they need to rest. So let me show you an easy way. And if you're not doing this, you need to start thinking about doing it. I'm going to raise this thing up. And if you notice, I have gone ahead and clipped the ball in. So let's go ahead and raise it up. If you're hooking up your equalization hitch and it is becoming very, very difficult to put the bars on, you're just not raising your vehicle up high enough. If you can see, that bar is now coming up. And I'm going to bring it up to where it's almost level with the pad. Now, you might ask, oh, that raised my truck up. Well, yes, it did. But there's not a problem. If you take a look, I'm not lifting the truck completely off the ground. And now I have that bar where it's very close. So let's get the install bar and put these things on. Here's a little install bar that TS Centerline Husky gives you. And if you take a look, I'm doing this one-handed. I am not putting any pressure at all. I'm just running that thing over, and as it gets up, I just click it on down. Let's go do the other side. Now again, I just put the bar in, raise it up. I've got one thumb, put it up, and it's in. You don't have to strain. You don't have to hurt your back. You don't have to be a muscle man to do this. If you've got a hitch that's similar to this, and there are quite a few that are out there like this, you know, that's the easy way to put your bars on. Now, after you go ahead and do that, now I can lower my vehicle and put all the weight on those bars, and let's just see how we do on the truck. Okay, now that I've got the bars on and all the weight off of the jack, let's go check the front end again. And we are right at 37.5. So right now, with my equalizing hitch installed, I'm 1/4 of an inch or less with the front coming up. You know, I don't think you're going to get it much better than that. You know, if I step back and take a look at the vehicle, the vehicle is level, RV is level. So I hope that was a little bit helpful. I've got a couple other tips for you, so let's go see what I got going. I just did this earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again. If you take a look at what I'm doing is I'm putting some water into my freshwater tank. And I'm only going to put in 1 gallon or so. When you get done your RV trip, I always empty all the water out of the freshwater tank. Try to get it as dry as possible. But the residue, you're always going to get a little bit of water that drips down to the bottom. And that water is going to lay in there. And after days or weeks, you really want to wash that out. You do not want to have your drinking water and the water you're using inside your RV, you know, with all that stuff that can be growing in there. Again, regular city water has chlorine in it. That chlorine does dissipate over time. So what I do is go ahead and tent a few gallons in, and then I go ahead and pull and just let it wash itself out. That's a little quick flush trick that really is something that would help you I don't know how many people are thinking about it, but I always like to rinse out my cups. So I just rinsed out my freshwater tank. I'm going to do a whole video on black tank and the care of your black tank. But I'm going to give you this little tip. 20 Multine borax. Not being paid by borax, I just use it and it works. Put about a cup of borax in your black water tank with 3 or 4 nice full bowls in your toilet, and go ahead and let that water and that borax, and squirt yourself some in there, some Dawn dishwashing liquid, and on your trip to wherever you're going, let that slush around in there. That will help clean your sensors, help keep your black tank clean, and I'm telling you, it really works. So 20 Multine borax, it's cheap, it'll help keep your black tank clean. Well guys, I hope those tips helped you out. I do appreciate each and every one of you that watch my videos. I really put a lot of effort and try to show you things that have helped me over the years. So please, if you like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.